Hey, welcome back. It's post lunch and I'm going to continue working on Design+Code. In fact, in part one, I called it Code plus Design. Dyslexic, dyslexic. Uh, but yeah, we did the first couple of hours of their great course. Let me show it to you. So, learning the best tools and platforms, and today we're kind of building on their iOS Swift UI app for iOS 15, and it's gone quite well. And we're about to begin the reusable styles and color system. So let's switch back over to Xcode here. See if I can get that. Here we go, Xcode, and yeah, what you see on the screen there is what we did in the first half, following along the tutorial, and you can see it's not your ordinary code tutorials, because these are design front and center. Maybe the code isn't perfect, but a lot of coders never get to create things at this visual quality, and so I think it's valuable to sign up for this course. If you do it soon, next few days perhaps, you'll get the Black Friday 50% off for the whole year discount. That's what I just did on Black Friday. I signed up for a year's worth of great education. So that is, let me throw up the website so you can see. That is the designcode.io. And even if you don't get in on the Black Friday special deal, I think it's worth every penny. So you want to take your designs and your code to the next level, check out designcode.io. Alright, let's see if we can get started. So right now this is, as I say, Xcode. I think it's the very latest version. Whoop, I didn't mean to do that. Let me put it back in its spot. I just want to check the version number. So it's 13.1. I think that's the latest as at the time of recording. So, okay, we're doing reusable styles and color system. Right. So, see. But yeah, I'm normally doing this is I'll set a Kanban timer off, give ourselves 25 minutes. Alright, reusable view modifier. When you start reusing the same backgrounds, borders and effects on multiple elements, it's a good idea to create a usable modifier. First, you'll need to create a new Swift file. In this file, you can delete all the content and we'll put in the stroke. Okay, so we're going to just create a new file in here. New file. Yeah, Swift, and we should call it the same name, and call it styles. That's Swift. Right. And we can delete everything, but I'm not going to delete everything. We'll just keep that much, and we'll create the first piece. That is the stroke style modifier. So it looks like we don't have all the parts just yet. And put this we want to create an overlay. And I'm going to reformat this because I like reformatting stuff. Don't really, but I think it helps me. So I put the comma in the beginning of the next line, and we'll do the same here too. So we'll notice that we don't have everything we need to satisfy this. So most likely we need the Swift UI to keep that happy. And it looks like we do not have the value for corner radius. But no worries, let's continue. Now I'm just going to set that. I will split the screen here, and then one side we can have the other code, since this is what we're kind of basing it on. So let's see, we're looking for the stroke style. So this looks like it here, stroke style, and that's on a rounded rack, and we went all the way up to 32. And we could pass that as a parameter at some point, but part of the reason they're doing these modifiers is that you don't really want to be specifying your parameters all the time, because that almost defeats the purpose of creating this thing in the first place. So we can see here that this rounded rack, and we've got some legacy stuff here we can get rid of. This overlay rounded rack is the same as what's going on in here. So presumably we're going to replace that with our own modifier. Continue. So now all we have to do is, at this point here, we're going to use our modifier. So it's modifier, and the name of the modifier is stroke style. And that should do exactly the same as this. So we can get rid of it. And we need to make it an instance of that. And you know, let's see if we can just go back here. And so I'm not 100% sure it's working, but I'll reload. And I didn't see any change, which actually is a good thing, because that would suggest that it's actually using this. Now I'm going to make this black so we can be almost certain. And we need to resume. There you go, we'll get a solid black there. So indeed, this style modifier is the thing that is driving the look. So that's cool. We can go back here, and now we can greatly simplify this. We can remove it. Let's remove these things too, because these were just for learning, and now we've learned that part, we can move on. So we'll have to hit resume again anytime you change it outside the file, which is can be annoying, but again, once these things are set, you're not going to change them that often. So that's looking good, and now we're going to do a view extension. If you want to make it shorter, you can add a view extension. So if we go back into here, and at the bottom we can simply type extension view func stroke style, and that's going to return some view And that's going to be the modifier stroke style. So that's basically going to make, on views, it's going to make this function available. And when executed, the function will just return this modified the stroke, which is basically this. So when we go back here, all we have to do, rather than this modifier, we've essentially built in a new style, new modifier. With a little bit of luck, when we save everything and resume, everything should still be exactly the same, and it appears to be. Dark mode, it's cool. It's a designer's eye here. See there, it bleeds, the white bleeds into the white. We can see the dark. In this one, white bleeds in, or doesn't bleed, it stands out against the background. Bottom bleeds in, so you have the best of both worlds. You can have a little bit of separation in both the light and the dark. Pretty awesome. Right, so that was the view extension and custom values. Right, so that's this is what this radius was all about. So if we go back up here and styles, I set it to this value here. Now, let me set this to here. Primitive bar. Okay. Not sure I'm doing this right, but we'll pass in the corner radius. It should be a CG float, and we'll default it to that value. And here we'll pass the corner radius. And I think when you pop that out, that makes it a so because this is a strut, this strut has a bar which is set to 32. Now, yeah, that is fine. And then this thing here is going to call this, and it will default to 32. You don't specify it. If you do, then it'll take that. So we should go back here and make sure that still works. And still looks fine. Now, I guess we can go and check that. So if we go in here to our stroke style, the corner radius of 8.0, you watch that corner there. If you hit save, see that stroke is a much less. And remember that the corner radius for this is not the same corner radius as used And let me see if I can find it. So we've got style, frame, background, stroke, padding. Can't find it. Oh, it's right here. So background, we're making it glass-like, and here we've got a corner radius. Now, those two values should match up if you want them to look right. If not, yeah, you're not going to have a great look. Let's ignore that problem at the moment. The default on our stroke style is indeed 32. So by setting that back there, you'll notice that those two things match up exactly. Alright, color scheme environment. The environment allows us to access specific app settings. For example, we can check if you're currently in dark mode using the color scheme. So that is when we go into a view, we can specify dependencies. So here, for instance, we're going to look at the environment and see what color scheme we're in. So it's setting this value here, and when we pick some colors, I think it's in the style. Yeah, so we're doing it deeper down, so we could do it up there, but we're not going to do it there. For this, we're going to go into the style section here, and here we're going to make this dependent on the color scheme. And what I generally like to do is, before we do any work, we will we'll assign a value. So it is dark mode is equal to color scheme is equal to dark. And what that's basically saying, in this environment variable, if it's that should be an equal. Some people like to do this. Right, so this is basically, we'll create a boolean, true or false. So is the color scheme equal to dark? If that is true, then is dark will be true, else it'll be false. Now we aren't using it just yet, but if we come down here, we can modify this opacity based on if we're in dark mode. So if dark mode, then we'll return 60%, else we'll return 30%, and then the other dark mode will return 30%, else will return 10%. Alright, so that basically makes our stroke style adaptive based on the mode you're in. So hopefully we should go back here, do a resume, and these are going to be subtle effects anyway, so I don't suspect we'll notice it that much. But I think if you look back in here, we're saying if they're in dark mode, then we're going to make the light edge quite a bit brighter. And if you go and look at that light edge, it's quite a bit brighter. And we're de-emphasizing the dark edge. So that's all cool. Right, and that ends that exercise. Now we're going on to the next, which is list style and navigation view. List style and navigation view. So this is new stuff. Pretty sure. I wonder if I can bring that on the screen. Let's see, I've got keyboard shortcuts for this, and there we go. Problem is I don't have any keyboard shortcut for removing it. Maybe I could add that, so you don't have to see me just drag the thing away. Alright, list style and navigation view. Okay. So let's create a new Swift UI file called account view. When we do that, there's a number of ways of doing it. I like to right click on here and just do new file, Swift UI, and the instructions are to create an account view. Alright, and we're using Swift UI. And let's create a new file. This will create 5 instances. That's so again, kind of unclear in the instructions because they're incomplete as far as I would be concerned. But that's not a problem, because why would it be a problem? So let's go and look at here, and since we didn't actually, so we're going to create an account view and it needs a body to these 2 lines, and paste it in, and we'll close that and close that. We should return a body, so we'll do text account view. And if there's those, so if I go into the, oh, we've already got one of those, we have to change its name. Alright. So I want to see that canvas view. It says canvas view is on, but I don't see it. That is wild. Do a save. Still no canvas view. What happened to my canvas view? One there. And there isn't one here. Does that have all the prerequisites? Oh, I know why, because you need to have this preview chunk at the bottom. So let's just add that in, and we have to name it appropriately. This will be account view previews, and account view. So now when we do a resume, we should have account view twice. Great. Right. So now we have that, we can change this and make a list. So we want a list from 0 to 5 excluded, and the item that will be delivered in here. And we'll just output some text. Item. Right, so you can see there that should give us everything excluding 5, and that should do everything. Excluding 5. And you can see it's in this, I don't know what you call it, the grouped view. So list style, list, and list, style, dot insert grouped. Don't know, actually grouped. And insert. And plain. Alright. And I think automatic might be default. List row separator, so that's this little line separating it, and hopefully I've got control. So list row separator tint, and we have edges. Let's try red. I don't know what this vertical edge set is, but let's see all. Huh, didn't see any change there. Go back to reset. Nothing. Go above, below. Let's just change the color. Yep, not seeing any change there. As new in iOS 15, you can customize the look of the separator between each item. The modifier can be placed on the item and not on the list itself. So here I have to put it up here. And there you go. And let's see what that edge is all about. Edges dot all. Didn't make any difference. Dot top. Bottom. Oh well, sure, in some instances that will have an effect. And you can also hide it. So that was changing the color. This list row separator visibility is hidden. Yeah, that's better. Right, we can change the color and or we can hide it. Great. Navigation views. Most layouts in iOS will use the navigation view. It gives you access to built-in navigation links to sub-screens with present animations and navigation bar buttons, and with a ton of control. Unless you're creating a highly custom layout, big projects like Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter do, or prototype as a designer who doesn't want to be limited in terms of creativity, you should use the navigation view system. It's a great starting point for production apps and can always use it for screens that typically require less design, such as settings, count, etc. Another big plus is that it comes with many accessibility considerations. To use the navigation view, you need to wrap everything inside a navigation view. So let's try that. Navigation view wrap, and we'll wrap that in there, and we're out. And I can see that the descender, presumably there's a title we can put in here. So navigation, title, and there you go, we've got a title on it. Alright, so we're going to get some tweaking going on. So we're going to get rid of this list thing here and start adding our stuff. So text, headings. Interesting, I didn't expect it to go down there. Let's do list separator tint dot black. And I'm gonna add in the guide. And we're going to put this thing in a section. I'm still a little surprised at the behavior of this. Oh, because we've lost the list. This should be a list that has a section that does all that nonsense. And close our list. And we still want to do these two things here. Get rid of that. So if we're going to hide the thing, we'll never need that. And we don't want section twice. Filling. Right. And finally, get another section. And a piece of text to it. This is going to be our fearless designer and leader. Alright, cool. Continuing. Let's see where we are. Oh yeah, time for a break. Be right back.
We wanted to run, we wanted to fall together. Back then our world seemed so clear. We were so bright, shimmering lights around us. We take flight into the sky. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? will see. You will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the line that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say look straight ahead and you will see. Take my hand, I'll lead you on into the stars. We'll ride away from all the wars. Close the doors and disappear again. And I don't know how many times I've said that this is not the end, and we will make it out of here alive. Oh, alive. Alive. Oh, alive. Alive. How many worlds would you cross to use the line that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say look straight ahead and you will see. You will see. You will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the line that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say look straight ahead and you will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the line that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say look straight ahead and you will see. You will see.
Rising with each beat of the music is ringing. We're all flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're retesting. Hearts with fire, we will dance the night. Young and free, we will feel release. Eyes with light, we will see the dawn. We will stay till the picture falls. We stay where the music plays, where the lights drop below, where the people sway. We stay where the picture glows, where the crystal flows, and the lights are glowing.
Alright, we're back. That was a little break, and while I was there, I changed a few things. So now I can bring up the web page fairly quickly and take it away, bring it up, take it away, which is an improvement. So this is what we're going to continue on as the next chapter in the Design+Code, building an iOS app, and now we've made it to SF symbols free. SF is like San Francisco, and these are symbol files that Apple has made available. And as you can see there's over 3,000 free icons. It's a huge time saver. It's true. The only issue I have with these is all the apps that use them, they all have end up looking like the same thing. Not necessarily a bad thing, because these are for communication. And so let's continue. We're going to work on this. I can make it go away, and we can go back to Xcode. Alright. So Mac allows you to browse all the icons, get there, instead of getting an app. I forgot. Let's see, do I have that app? Let's see if I do. So it's FS symbols free, but that's not the app. FS symbols. Huh, I'm not sure I have the app. So get their application. So we're going to try and jump over to that. Not sure. SF symbols app. Maybe the App Store. That would be a good place to go to. So download, stick it on my desktop. See if we can go and find that. I see that it's on my desktop. And it hasn't finished yet. Wow, 200 megabytes of icons. Apple sure knows how to make things big, that's for sure. Uh-oh. Stalling. Alright, well, I didn't set the timer. Let me get that going. 25 minutes on the old Pompidoro Focus. Alright, we're almost there. Alright, so we have downloaded, and we're going to install the package. And it says it's complete. So now, can the system find it? Sure enough. Here we have Apple's FS Symbols app, and I'm not sure how to use this as far as the colors and stuff. Monochrome, multicolor. Look at that, we've got little icons of splashy color. Notice they all don't have color, but some of them do. What else do we have? We've got palette, where we can actually drive it. Cool. Hierarchy. So that's the two-tone look. Also is nice. And monochrome, I'm used to. Yeah, I don't know why, you know, some of these, like, yeah, maybe in the next version. Background custom. Background default. Okay, we got that. Moving on. Symbol variant. So create a symbol variant. I don't know where we're going to create a symbol. Font size, rendering mode. So maybe just for testing, if we put image up here and we do a system name and we do that as person. Look at that, we get a little person. And if we do symbol variant, and looks like we get circle and fill. Oh, cool. Bit small, probably default size. Get rendering modes, so we can do symbol rendering mode palette. Huh. Well, that's not great. Just disappeared on us. Let's see what else we got. Probably because there are colors. Hierarchy. Whoops. Oh, yeah, there's a two-tone. And I'm sure there's a way. Oh yeah. Since these are essentially fonts, not sure if this is the right, but we'll try it. Font, system, and size 36. Oh, would you look at that? 22. Right, so if I put that back to palette, it was completely black. That's almost certainly because on palette we have to pick some colors for it to use. And I'm not sure. So use the new foreground style. You can set up to 3 colors for your symbols depending on your symbol. For the symbol we have chosen, we can customize 2 colors. So if you do foreground color, I'm going to do blue. And for the second color, blue, let's just make it red. Now it didn't like that because we're not doing foreground color, we're actually doing foreground style, and that can take up to 3 colors. So if you do that, and if we made this blue with opacity 0.3, make it this nice two-tone effect. Yeah, that works. And let's go back up. So we've got monochrome, which we've seen. Now, if I go back to monochrome, does that first color be used? I think it is. Let's just go back to here. Yeah, looks like it. Set this to red. It changes, we'll put it back to blue. Cool. And if we do hierarchy, I think it's just automatic in hierarchy. And let's do it filled again. Cool. And if I were come out of hierarchy and go back to monochrome. Cool. And multicolor. I'm not sure where multicolor gets its colors from. But I think the first one I'll get it from here. The rest of them will be very quotes automatic. Alright, well, let's go back to blue and palette. Right, cool. Well, the variants do a good job in letting you choose basic fonts for most cases. Sometimes you'll want something more specific. For that, you can change the complete symbol name. And I'm going to add another one here. Could work. Just duplicate. And this one here, we can specify the whole shebang. And that way we don't have to deal with that. Okay. The decorative FS symbol. You can choose your icon even more, customize your icon even more by adding a padding background with material and a decorative FS SF symbol. Right, so we're going to do it to the second one here, and we'll just copy and paste this in and see what happens. Whoa. Let's parse this if we can. So we got, we're making that real big, so where that thing is. Oh, it's because we get this big offset. I guess this is cool. Set it to 0 and 0, so it'll just be behind it. And we'll make it size. Growing. And sorry. Well, interesting indeed. Each element inside a list will get its own row space and separator. You can also create a container by wrapping inside a tree stack. This lets you completely customize the look. So V stack. And content. We'll do a frame, which will have a maximum width, infinity, an awful big number, and do padding. Now, can I do a background color? Dot red. Yeah, so you can actually see exactly what it's doing. So if I take this padding away, and then add the padding back. Okay. Cool. Now, another quick way to use SF symbols is with the label. It will combine the icon with the text. Alright, so rather than use text, we can use a label. And at first blush it looks exactly the same. But the beauty of a label is it can take a system icon and we can describe what that icon is and wonder why it doesn't work. Maybe they all need an icon. Yeah, apparently so. Right. So, title and text. Let's create a title and text. Go below the icon. I'm not sure. Not sure. Don't think that's going to work. Let's create a title and text to go below the icon. It's See, this is the issue I have with this course. I think the material is awesome, but you know, you get these little snippets of code and it's unclear where this should be put in, right? So I just drop it in this section here. It's not quite right. Anyway, scale image. FF symbol was designed to align perfectly next to text. Sometimes you want the icon to be smaller or bigger than the text, so you can use image scale for that. Now we're getting a back involved, horizontal. So we'll get H stack. We're going to put an image in here. That image, system, location. And image, scale, small. And we'll add in this. And look at that, lo and behold. But I think this V stack, what we want here, and in the V stack. That way, these are connected. Doesn't look right. They are connected. I think it's because by default there's some padding. Would that be it? Can I do padding 0 here? No. Okay. Can we look at this horizontal thing by adding a color to it? Background. Good. And we can see that it really is indented. If you put a background red on here. So the question is, why is that extra little bit of padding? Oh, doesn't it look centered? So if I add a bunch of stuff here, you can see not that it's padded, it's actually centering. Now if you remember before, we dealt with that, so I think there might be an alignment dot bleeding, and the rest of it we don't care about right now. And there we go. Now maybe we do care. There's a spacing here. Make the spacing quite high, or more appropriate. Looks good. Don't need the red any longer in these two places. Cool. And we can take the gibberish off. Cool. So that ends that chapter. Next we'll be doing navigation link and URL. So yeah, navigation link and URL. Add in-app navigation link to your list items and learn to open the links to Safari. Cool. Check that out. When your views are visible to navigation view, you can use navigation link to navigate to sub screens and back. Since last year, you can write views in a cleaner way. Both ways work, but personally, I find the new way to be cleaner and more consistent. Instead of using parentheses and having to remember the values of each view. Let's wrap the three labels inside the respective navigation link. Inside the first curly brace, you can compose your layout or link to a view called Content View. Alright, so we do a little cleanup here. We don't need these icons. And in here, we're going to make a navigation link, and that goes to destination, which expects a closure. So we will just make that closure say test, and this will be for our setting. Edit settings, and we need a label. And the label will be our label. Okay, that ends our label. And that ends our navigation link. Okay. Have to have done something wrong. Seems it can fix it for me. I don't think it could. So navigation link takes a destination and it takes a label and it ends. Generic label could not be inferred explicitly. Alright, we'll use the trailing closure syntax and see if that makes it happier. Did. Not quite sure why. Alright, so we've got a thing. You can see it's even highlighted. Now, we've never done this before, so we're going to just try and run it here, and then I can click on it. It navigates in, navigates back out. So yeah, that actually appeared to work. And we could copy and paste that multiple times to make the other two active as well. So that's billing, and that's billing. And the next one. Oops. Well, that's billing. And this one here is going to be help. And that can go away, and that can go in there. And we'll just get rid of all these extras at the moment. Right. So, preview, help, settings, all very cool. How are we doing? Should be on a 5-minute break. Yeah, let's take that break, shall we? Keyboard seems to have stopped working. Yeah, software failure. So, know what I'm going to do? Since we're on a little break, I'm going to break the stream and rerun OBS and see if that fixes it. So don't go away. Be right back. Okay, I'm back again. Keyboard's working. Software. Anyway, I'll get 3 minutes in my break, so bye. Hey, welcome back. Got a working keyboard again, that's cool. And we're going to continue with navigation link URL in the code design building your iOS app in iOS 15. So let's see if we can maybe pause this crazy artwork here. Back into Xcode we go. So we did already create some linkage on these account stuff, and there's ability to add an accent color. So again, confusing. Website house. Alright, so maybe we'll put the accent color on this section. So if we put it down here, and it would just sort of turn to the primary color. And let's see what that looks like in art mode. Looks fine. Now, interestingly, we can add a URL. I don't know where we want to do that. Perhaps down here in this VStack, we created a link. Now, interesting again is the spacing. So I'm going to yank this up to like 16, and we noticed that that one was set to small, and if you want it to have a similar sort of feel, then this would have to be set to small as well. Zoom blade, oop, copy too much. Grab that piece there, and we'll stick it there. And it doesn't like that for some reason. Why is that? Oh, because the system... Huh. Well, maybe this should be its own item. And we'll bang this back down to 4. And now you can see this is a URL, so if we go into test mode and click on it, it may not actually work in this mode because, well, it's trying to get on a website. So we'll fire it up into a physical device. So run it on my phone. Do the share. Now, the problem with running it on the phone is that this isn't the primary view, so we're not even going to see it here. This is what comes up on the phone, and we're doing this account screen, so we'll have to hook up this screen to this screen in order for it to appear. Since we haven't done that yet, maybe we'll just wait on that. Alright, note that the URL is optional, meaning that it may or may not have value. So that exclamation mark basically forces the issue. Oh, dangerous. Custom list URL. You can customize the list sections and items to use extent. For example, you can decide to let the content layout and style however you want, but the container's background and padding won't be customizable. Oh. Alright, so example it gives is that we have this link here, and inside we've got a label, but instead of the label we can put something like this, which there's a horizontal, it's a label, a little house icon and a spacer and a link icon at the other side on the secondary color. So that little icon there is a result of the spacer in this. Alright, cool. Color primary. So we can take that away from there. Oh, we lose that. Maybe we need it for each section. Now, can we push this even higher? Apparently not. Well, it would have helped if I got the right one. Apparently so. So you can see there's an icon there and icons here. By pushing this up a level, hopefully if I just force that to be red, we can take it away from here and all our stuff turns out red. Alright, that's cool. We'll put primary in there and take it out of here and everything is happy. Alright, let's start at 25 minutes before the next break. Testing in the simulator, default screen. In new project Xcode will default to content view. To change this, you can go to the Design+Code iOS 15 app or the name of your app to change the content view to kid view. So we'll do that. So in here, that is the default view, and if we were to change that to account view, comment out this one. Used to. Alright, so now I'm going to run this again in the physical hardware. And this time, when I run it, it should take me directly into the account view, and if I tap on the website, it should launch the default web browser. In my case, that will be Chrome, and here we go. So again, if you're watching this anytime soon, and even if you're not, buy this course, because you know it's a little rough on the engineering side, but the where it counts, the design is spot on. And right now you can get 50% off if indeed you're around Black Friday 2021. Alright, let's go back into the app and we'll continue. So next up is states and swipe actions. And states, we're probably not talking about the United States of America. And by swiping, we're not probably talking about stealing somebody's wallet. Wiping. You in iOS 15, you can add swipe actions to your list items with a single modifier. This is a popular and fairly complex interaction that is useful for actions such as deleting, pinning, and other actions. Apps such as Mail and News use the swipe action. So let's go back into our account view. And let me shrink that a bit. Make that big. And we want to let's apply a swipe action to the very first one, let's say. So dot swipe action. Content. Well, if we just ditch that and go straight for content, let's do a button that has no action, or a label says label delete, and we have an icon. Trash. Now let's run this preview mode and see if that added. Oh, look at that. It's disabled, but it's there. How cool is that? You can do a long swipe and it just goes back. Cool. So swipe. Question is, if I put two of these in here, how would it handle it? So let's say delete other, and I don't really know the names of any of the stuff. That's what this FF symbol app is for. Let's do this one here. And I can copy the symbol, so it's not allowing me to pick that up for some reason. I can see the word copy, but don't know why. Now it's doing it. Interesting. The copy symbol, and I come over here. I don't know what exactly it copied, so let's just paste it and see. Copied the graphic. I wonder if I paste that graphic in there, will it break things? I didn't even like that. Wouldn't that have been nice? There might be a way of doing that, but I don't know what it is. So let's go back into this and we'll copy the name instead. And let's see, what do we get in the name? Yep, it's the full qualified name. So now it should be happy, at least in terms of that item. So if I swipe, we got two. How cool is that? And one of them is our a weird error message there. Hopefully Alright, so we got two swipe actions on the right hand side. The question is, can you have them on the left? But that's for another story. We want this to be in red. So I don't know if the tint goes on the label or does it go on the button. Let's try it on the label to begin with. So tint red. And let's see what that looks like. No change. Let's lift it to the button. And there we go. We've got a nice tint in there. And if we go for the other one, and we make this blue. Whoa, there we go. Hints. States. Modern applications depend on states to create interactions where the data can change over time. For example, a start and end animation state or a show or hide state. In this case, we need to set the state to determine if the item is deleted or not, upon which condition we can decide to hide or show it. Right, so for this view, we can have is deleted, and it has a state of false to begin with. From the swipe action, we can change the boolean state to is deleted to true. The action button will set it in the modifier, will allow us to change that state. Show or hide. So again, the ideas are good. It's a little convoluted, but in here, this might need to be set state. But since nothing is dependent on that right now, let's just try this. False. For a set state. Might be thinking of Flutter. Alright, so is deleted is false, and we're just going to cheat the system, I guess. Here we're going to say F is deleted. We really want it if it's not deleted, then we will make this whole thing visible, else it'll be gone. We might have to run this on device, but let's see what happens. Yeah, didn't go away, so let's run it onto device. And there's whoop, gotta use my finger now. There's a swipe. So no apparent change. So is deleted, button is deleted, true. Alright, to device again. And let's see. Where is the simulator? Oh, we're actually on physical device, so it'll be this one here. There you go, disappeared. So easily is false. If it is true, it's not true, then it's false. It will do this piece of code, and then in this code, if we tap the button, it's going to be true, and so forth. Yeah, cool. Multiple buttons. For swipe actions, you can handle multiple buttons. Let's add a second button that has pin and is yellow. Okay, we already added the second button, but we may as well, we'll play along here. We'll call it pin, and we'll use the pin as the graphic, and we'll set its color to yellow. And we'll try that, and we'll just run it locally here. So interestingly, we need a resume, and there we go, the yellow pin. Next section, we have structure and toggle. Make your code cleaner by dividing it into reusable sections. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. Use structure. As your views get heavier and the pyramids of doom start creeping into your code, you should start thinking about splitting your code. If your code should be reused across the entire app, you should create components and styles. If your code should only exist within this view and benefit from local states, you can create sections. In this case, I'm creating local views for each section of the list. Pinning. Let's use the simple swipe action to apply a non-destructive action like pin and non-pin. First, we will set the state to false. So that's similar to what we just did. We've got it's pinned here. Let's set the swipe action modifier with a pin action and the yellow. Alright, we got swipe action. Next, set the swipe action modifier with a pin action and pin. Unclear again, because we already had that. And maybe all we're intending. Instead of changing the state to true or false, we're going to toggle. So in here, you can as pinned toggle. Then this time you have two states with two different buttons. Let's add a condition that will show one or the other. Alright, so we got this label, and in here we've got if is pinned. Else. Right, so if it's pinned, we want to unpin it. Alright, no, it's got to be an if. So if it's pinned, we want to do that, else we want to do. So it certainly is one way of doing it. There is another variation on this, because this is put in display logic inline, which you can do. But a cleaner way perhaps is to say something like this. Pinned image equals, and this will be based on is pinned. So if it's pinned, we want the unpinned variation, and else we just want the pinned variation. Then also we want pinned text, and again very similar. If it is pinned, we want to offer up unpinned, else we want to offer pinned. Then it means that in here we can just say, well, firstly we just need one label, and that label will use the text of pinned text, and the image will be pinned image. And we don't need that, so that keeps this part easier, and this part here should also be fairly easy to understand, that we have two slightly different variations. So now if we go back and run it inside our physical device here and bring that forward, gotta tell it to be okay with that. And for the moment, let's just pin this thing. Keep it on top. Right, so where we added this was on the swipe on settings. Swipe in settings, we can do pin. Swipe again, unpin. Now if the thing was much larger, there would also be a label, and we might be able to cheat that. So here is if it's deleted. Well, we can't delete it right now. I guess we could. But in here I'm going to say frame height 100. And again I need to actually run it on device. And we swipe, we can see it actually says some words. So if we pin it, let's say unpin. So we've got a toggle action going there. And if I hit delete key, it'll just make it disappear. Cool. Let's take off this and continue. Oh, nice little tweak is that we'll also does the color. So let pinned color equal is pinned, and I think we might have to do that, so we can do gray and yellow. So this basically says we want a pinned color. If it is pinned, we want it to be gray. Also, we want it to be yellow. And down here, when we say what color it's going to use, which is right there, tell it's the pinned color. Then I'm going to run it in the actual hardware. And we look, and we click on it, look again, click. So changes the icon, changes the label, changes the color. Awesome. Alright, moving on. Multiple buttons. The swipe action can have multiple buttons. Let's create a reusable local view. Okay. So we have button creating a reusable local view. So we can do it up here. We can say var in button, and that's some view that returns a button as pen toggle. So this is similar to what we just got right here. Right here. But suddenly my life gets more complicated. Or did it? In part it does. We're still using a global variable here. I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing this. So firstly, we're not going to be changing this, so it'll be a lat. Or this could be a function. It doesn't take in anything, it returns some view. Ooh. Closure containing a declaration cannot be used with result builder view. Anyway, it's time for a break. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Alright, me back. Let's see, where were we? We had a bit of a problem with this. Closure containing a declaration cannot be used within this. Why? If I lift it up, it won't have access. Huh. I know I've used this pattern before, but why can't I use it right now? Is it just a view? I don't think we can do that either. Tempted to go and have a quick peek elsewhere. Back. Okay. Looks good to me. Maybe that was it. I just had to declare their return. Alright. Back on track. So I'm deviating a little bit from Ming's approach. It's pretty much the same. So this is similar, you know, to what I was doing here, where you're declaring what you want outside the view block. Make the view block a little easier to read. It's exactly what we're doing here too. We're going to create this pin button, and we're able to use it presumably right in here. We're just going to do the pin button, and we don't need this part right here. So if done correctly, rerun this, we should have a hardwired piece of code that makes this function, and it's no longer inline. So that's an improvement. And by simple extension, we could do a delete button. So let's just do that. Whoa. We duplicate that, and we're going to call this one delete, and this one kind of easier because the tint color is still going to be red. And this is still a hack, which we will, I'm assuming we'll work on this later. And the label is going to be fixed as well. Now we can take this delete button and put that in there. so that in here we have delete and pin, and we need an instance of this. And that may work. Let's try it. Rerun. There we have the delete. So yeah, indeed that did. Right, so this isn't technically accurate where I'm about to show, but at least if we can take those swipe actions and apply it to this one. So they're all using the same pin and delete action. But do anything software include write bad software? That is bad software. Let's see, got a swipe action here, and we've got a swipe action here and here. Now if I hit delete in the bottom one, the top one will disappear. There you go. And if I hit this pin, then they're both pinned. Because there's only one pin and there's only one delete notion. Yeah, moving on. Finally, let's reference it in multiple places. So, good news is we already did that. Here are the multiple places. Browse view selections. Once you have sections set up, you can easily navigate to each part by doing the breadcrumbs. It's pinned. Next up is canvas. Maybe we don't need this right now, do we? Alright, drawing in the canvas. Graphics in the canvas. Use the new Canvas API in Swift UI to draw a path, text, image, or SF symbol. Cool. Let's actually start the clock. 25 minutes to next break. And Canvas API. When you work with complex drawings that are vector-based and resolution independent, the new Canvas API is fantastic. Instead of importing a potentially large and heavy SVG or PDF asset, you can use Canvas to draw and animate the layers in code. While it's not great for text and interactivity, it can be a huge win for performance. Let's create a new file, hexagon view. Okay, so I'll go back in here, let's do a new file, and Swift UI, that's hexagon view. Right, and we probably Swift UI, and we have something that looks like this, but presumably in a view wrapper. See, this is where it gets a little messy because we're not seeing the whole file as we go through this. Let's do a split. I'm going to assume that we need a proper old proper view. Just going to turn a body of some view, and in there we have a canvas. Okay, that appears to have kept it happier. And presumably we don't have a canvas view. Now there's probably is a way of generating these views that come in with all the, you know, from a template essentially. I'm not going to explore that right now because I'm okay typing it over and over again. In part it is learning. I have no idea why that didn't come up before. Well, it's pretty obvious that in order to see these things you have to have a preview at the bottom. That's what drives the canvas after all. And right now we've got nothing inside of our canvas draw code, so we're ready to go. So first thing is use context to create some text. Right, let's just throw some text on that context, and lo and behold, but you can see it's actually clipped off the side. That came as a little bit of a surprise. Not sure why it gets clipped off. And presumably it gets clipped off even worse if we set 0, 0. Oh, so it's the center of the text. Interesting. So if we want to see all this text, we probably have to put 120 in. It doesn't really matter. Any reasonably. There you go. So that is the point for the center of that text. So let me do my usual thing here so it's easier to read for all of us. Alright, so Alright, cool. Or you can draw by setting the position and size by using the CG rect. Notice that CG rect is a value that holds the X position and the size. Presumably we can stack as many of these as we want. These are drawing instructions. Now this is interesting in that I am explicitly saying to do it inside this, but presumably no matter what size these things are, the text knows what it wants to do, but at least the Y position and X position seems to be. So if these are too small, let's say if this is only 10 wide, does it crop off? It doesn't appear to be, so these things are non-cropping. Assuming that, oh, wait a minute, it is cropping. Not only it's cropping, it's wrapping too. That is super interesting. So if I make this a 30, 50, it's not cropping, it's wrapping. And if there's not enough space for it, you do ... So yeah, this thing is pretty smart, and it knows a lot about its environment. Cool. And presumably I can get a partial in here, so if I make this 20, 10, 5, 2, so it's obviously drawn outside that, but it's trying its best. Okay, cool. Go 100, do 120. Alright, we're getting somewhere. The path. You can also create a path using a fill or a stroke. So there's a fill. I'm just going to go a few reminders in here. Some comments. So path, we'll get a path elliptical, and that elliptical path is drawn in this thing here. And it's doing it with this color. So we can change that. Green. Brilliant. And if we don't specify that rect, I don't think you can get away without specifying it, but so let's do minus. Okay, so we'll do the quarter whole, and if we put it back, and it is elliptical, so we could do it twice as wide as high. Right, cool. Let's give it a bigger y coordinate and even more, maybe less. Right, next up we have an image. So you can see the pattern here. The context tells it where it's going to draw the thing. Then the command it's going to apply, which in this case again is a draw, and what it's going to draw. Presumably there's a bunch of, so we'll try and use the help system here. I don't do it very often. Jump to definition, quick help. So what does quick help says? It says nothing. Sometimes it does that because it's a malformed, you know, you need the help in order to figure out what you're going to put in there, but it won't give it to you until you put it in there. So we're doing image, and it's suggesting we use blob 1, and that's going to be in the CG rect. And just like before, we specify the X, the Y, the width, and the height. And something didn't like this. So there's the image in CG rect, XY, blah blah blah, and we need a close. And there's still something wrong. So draw image, and that image needs to be closed, and the second parameter is this. So that image probably, definitely comes from our assets, probably in blobs 1, and it's that top one there, and there's two versions of it, a light and a dark, and probably a PNG with some transparency. Regardless, there it is. See the transparency? There's transparency there too. Right, cool. Next up we have a symbol. F symbol. Alright. Now I didn't see it magically appear. So we're doing the symbol in this rectangle, and we're using the size, width, and height. Well, size, width, and height isn't defined anywhere, so let's just override that for the moment. We'll do a big old 48 and our 48. Now I'm still not seeing it, so I'm going to do a couple of things. We'll bring this down to 100 maybe. Oh, try to resume. There it is right there. And this needs to be maybe up a little bit to 80, and this can go 150. And we'll take that in a little bit, maybe 100. Alright. And then we've got a size property. If you wish to use the same dimension as the canvas, you can use size property. Wow. So if I were to do size, this is what we were doing earlier, and I think it was defined, but it's part of the canvas. Size, height, and we'll back this off to 0 and 0, and we'll drop that up top, or maybe we won't. Now the question is, well, how do we colorize this? And that I cannot remember. So we've got an image dot, maybe we can just do foreground, style, color, so we got red, and it didn't like that. And so let's try Apple's help again. So we get draw, image, inrect, and style. And style is the fill style. Style dot fill style EO fill true false. All I do is that, but that's not going to work. Let's look at this again, see if it will still give us the help, given that it's now malformed. A fill style to use when rasterizing the image. Oh, we got that. Oh, click on that. The fill style, no real help. Comparing relationship. Well, we could ask Google. So let's see, Swift UI can ask fill color. How to set canvas fill color. By graphic context, that's what I want. So I don't think this is quite it. This is with, fill with. Let's see. We've got an image. Raw image. Don't know. Let's move on. Where are we? So the size property, we got that done. And frame and style, when you use the size of the canvas, you can resize the canvas by setting a frame. The color. Additionally, you can style it using foreground style, and it will act like a shape. Let's add a gradient. Okay, I'm not sure where I need to be adding this, but I think it's on the end here. Ooh, and everything is filled by that. That is trippy. So let's, I could probably do some math in there. If I want this to be half the size and the height to be half the size. And then I want it to be centered. So it's not the best way of doing this, but we're doing it anyway. Why is it when we learn stuff we make shortcuts? We wouldn't really do that if we were doing production code. I don't know. Maybe production code is too hard and should be a little bit more loosey-goosey. Right, puts in the center. But notice that the gradient went through the text, but not the filled, not the filled path, because we're setting that to green. I bet you, does that one do it without that, will it? No. So can I do a path? Can I draw a path? Oh no. Anyway, we're not going to worry about it right now. We're just going to look at this and see if you understand it. We're doing a linear gradient that has an array of colors, red and green, and the top one, I mean red and blue, top one starts top left, which is top leading, sorry, which is over here, left. And the ends and the bottom trailing, which over here. So we've got a gradient from there to there. That ends that ends our foreground style. Okay. And now we can stroke it. Now apparently we can click on this thing here. And here. Maybe we have to have the drawer open. Nope, didn't want to do that. Leave this drawer open. You can turn any SF symbol to a vector format so that you can edit and inspect the original size. In this case, you'll be able to get the right proportions by inspecting the vector and resizing using the Shift key. I'm not sure what they're referring to here. Did I miss a step? Because it sure looks like we're in Figma. Let's bring up Figma. Go over here, and we've got a draft area. I'm going to create a new thing called develop. I like to have it develop. And I want to go to that symbols here. Is there a search tool? There is. I'm gonna go hex, hexagon fill right there. Copy symbol. I don't know what we're getting. I'm going to try and paste it into here. Oh, look at that. It did actually come in and paste okay. Let's set it to white. And then here, I'm pretty sure this is meaning we can flatten and stroke. Outline stroke. Is there an outline? Oh, there is. Look at that. Wow, that came in super dinky, didn't it? Let's just beef this up. 24 by 24. And I don't know what the guy's talking about here, but there's a stroke with some errors. It's super large. Okay, you can turn any FS symbol to a vector format so you can edit and inspect the original size. In this case, you'll be able to get the right proportions by inspecting the vector and resizing using the shift key. Let's copy and paste the FS symbol hexagon from the app to Figma. Set the font size at 100. Yeah, a little unclear. So copy symbol. Where is it? Let's copy and paste the FS symbol hexagon from app. I don't think you mean the app, but maybe you do mean the app. Let's go back to wherever we were at. And code. And I don't think you can pick that up from there. Copy. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to hit copy and then go back over to here and hit paste, and nothing will happen. Copies the text on that. Well, I got it from FS symbol. Well, let's do the FF symbol route again. So we'll copy the symbol and we'll paste it here, and we'll set font size to 100, and you can stroke the outline, and we can set colors. So basically we did more or less the same thing as it just did. Different ways getting to the same destination. Cool. All right. Right. Well, it looks like it's break time. Be right back.
You said the same thing I told ya. My eyes are clear.
Alright, back again. Where were we? Back in Xcode. Let's fire up Xcode. I noticed I didn't set my 5-minute timer. Things happen. We just played with this bill here, which was pretty sweet. Not only did it go through the text, but it went through this, but it did not go through the fill ellipse because we set a color there, and it did not mess with the colors as part of the image, but the other ones it did inform them. So that is cool, I guess. I've got a lot of questions, but it's good for now. Alright, moving on. Alright, so all that is, there's the stuff is a kind of prerequisite, so we don't really want this in our Hex view. We certainly don't want the text, the path, the image, but we will keep the SF symbol. And we did want it full screen. I tweaked it so it wasn't full screen, but it looks like Ming is instructing us to go with a full screen variant. Or to be more precise, it's going to fill the canvas, whatever the canvas is determined as. Alright, so let's replace the symbol by the vector you made in canvas. Not sure what it's asking, but we're going back to account view nonetheless. And where did we use the... We didn't. I don't recall us using that anywhere. So where would I put it? We've got a view which is based in this list, and there is no nowhere where we actually I know where we actually use a hex FF symbol. I wonder if we missed that in the previous chapter, or I could go and try and look at the provided source. We should use a screenshot here or there so we could keep on track, but it doesn't. I'm not quite sure where the intent to use this hexadecimal or hexagon view is, but moving on. So the next chapter we're working on is this SVG to path in Canvas. So that's scalable vector graphics, which became popular for the web, I believe. And we're going to convert it to paths, presumably, and paint them, which is pretty cool. So let's put 25 minutes on the clock and get cracking. So first in Figma, you can copy the SVG code from any shape. In this case, we'll select the blob inside the assets page. Right, so we jump over to Figma. Inside the assets page, there's this thing called blob, and sure enough, there it is. And if we right click on it, we can copy as SVG. Done. Turn your SVG into Swift. Since we won't be able to use SVG code in Xcode, we need to turn that into a Swift code. This tool will do the work for you. Paste the SVG into the top field, convert. Right, so let me see. Oh, did it again. Alright, so let me show it to you. We have this GitHub there. Sponsored functionality is limited for now. Please feel to contribute on. Paste the code here and convert. And similarly, we can just copy this. And this is kind of neat. So I am going to make a note on my iPad. So what is this? SVG to Swift UI on and that's on GitHub. No. This thing just drives me nuts because it's not doing it again. Right, so we got some code copied. Let's copy the Swift code and paste it at the bottom of a new file called blob view. Pause that, we'll go back into Xcode, and the master says open up a new file, and that new file will be called blob view. And again, I could use one of the templates, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it this way for a little bit longer. So we've got blob shape and the yeah, it's good enough. Now technically this isn't a view yet. If we want it a view, then it would have to be, I'm pretty sure we're going to use a canvas, so let's just copy that, paste, close, close, close. This will be on view. Shape styling. Since it's a shape, we can set the frame and styling using frame and foreground style. We're missing a part here, which is what we're doing here. Oh, working back and forward. There's the canvas, and we're going to get the frame, which will be the same size, and path, not in scope, path is right here, so maybe we'll that out of there, and the path available, let's just make it available at this level. MR at the moment, should be happy. Right, so that should be sufficient when we add in our preview here. That's for blob view, light and dark, zoom. And try to zoom again. And there we go. We have a blob that is, yeah, reminiscent of blob here. The aspect ratio has changed. This is roughly square, whereas that is the one in our code approximates more of the size of the machine, minus our safe area, top and bottom. Cool. Right, continuing. Let's change the color to a gradient. Note that the values you use in it initialize the property. So let's change the color to a gradient. Color gradient. So come in here and rearrange as I do. We can make this a little narrower. And there's the path and its width. Color. Leave that for a second. try and do this. Paste. So now we have a linear gradient using these two colors and starting this initial position and ending at this initial position.
Jack it up.
Right, cool. And there lies the end of this chapter. I want to go back into that hexagon thing and just lift this out of here. I don't want to forget it, but I don't want to have it in there either. Paste it outside. Yeah, cool. I'm a little perplexed at the width of that not going all the way out there, but nothing to worry about right now. Next chapter. Right, so we're on the timeline view animation in Canvas. Use the schedule to set animation to your canvas paths. Sounds cool. The timeline view allows you to update your canvas drawings using a schedule. Think of it like the timeline on most animation tools, except that you'll control the time using code. Okay? Using the timeline property provided, you'll get a live update of the time since reference date. A great technique when dealing with a lot of unfamiliar APIs is to keep testing the values until it makes sense. You can see the value in a text view by inserting the value. Okay. So the presumption then is that we can wrap our canvas, or, well, do we want to do it there? I don't know if we do. We want to animate this thing. We haven't been told to do anything yet. Great technique. Using the time value, you'll be able to make it loop for 3 seconds using the reminder. Oh, finally, gradients, passing X to a function, animating the paths, another timeline. Well, I have to say that that was the worst, none the wiser. Alright, timeline view. Timeline view allows you to update your canvas drawings using a schedule. Think of it like timeline view in most editors. So at this particular point, it's so disconnected, the written text, from what you're trying to accomplish. So I feel like I'm forced to go and look at the source code for it. I could create a new view called timeline view, but it's only dealing with the animation components. At no point on here does it show the finished piece. So let's see. It's just asking me to download the source code, and I already have done that, so let's go and bring that onto the screen. So go to Finder. I think it's still on my desktop. Indeed it is. So here's the source code, and we've got project complete, course material, not sure which chapter, timeline, canvas. So this is the project file referred to, and then here we've got the hexadecimal, the hexagon view. So if I double click on it, it should open it up, and this should be very similar to our thing, and it's left all of that in there. It's interesting. Yes. Okay, come back at. Then content view. Okay, I don't think we're using content view. We'll go into a bunch of stuff there. Not sure where that came from. Alright, so blob view, content view. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there for today, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Does that sound? Signing out. My name is John, and this light is going to be moved. Bye for now.